Hi, and welcome to Bravo1. Today we'll be going over the standard operating protocols. Bravo1 was formed in 2014 and is a private security company committed to delivering exceptional security and crowd management services to bars, venues, events, and businesses. We train our staff to not just be a presence, but a proactive member of our client's team. We provide crowd management and event staffing, unarmed SLED certified security officers, armed SLED certified security officers, executive protection, client training, parking control, and consulting services. Chain of command should always be followed. Always know who your shift supervisor is. We make promotions based on your experience, level of customer service, and quality of work. Promotions are not guaranteed, and employees should not assume that they are due for a promotion or raise. Supervisors may not be a supervisor for every shift. Always defer to your shift supervisor. Each officer in event staff position is accountable to only the command supervisor at any given time. The purpose of a command supervisor is to provide our employees with a direct person to go to with any issues or problems. The command supervisor may also be responsible for conducting employee evaluations, handling reprimands, and issuing company directives. You may direct scheduling questions to the officer in charge of scheduling. On a job site, there may be a site supervisor on duty as the ranking patrol officer. A site supervisor will direct their assigned staff during a shift and may issue directives regarding their immediate shift duties. A site supervisor is only in charge of their staff during a shift. After their shift is over, employees should direct any questions back to the command supervisor. Site supervisors may be in charge of 5 to 10 employees at a time. Orders relayed from a superior by an officer or employee of the same or lesser rank as the receiving officer will be obeyed as if directly communicated by the superior officer. Bravo1 Protection will maintain an effective and up-to-date directive system intended to keep all members of the organization informed of the expectations, policies, and procedures of the organization. This directive system will utilize the following written directives: employee handbook, special orders, personnel orders, training courses, post orders, and site protocols. Most documents will be used through email, Humanity, or the employee portal. Employees are responsible for reading all material by requested deadlines. Some documents may require a written signature verifying that you have received it. Employees should always review their site protocols before working a new job site. The CEO and SLED certified officers of Bravo1 Protection are vested with law enforcement authority by the state of South Carolina. It is the policy of Bravo1 Protection to allow officers some degree of discretion in exercising this authority. Officers of Bravo1 Protection will strive to protect life and property, preserve the peace, and prevent crime. Pursuant to South Carolina Code of Laws Section 40-18-30, the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division is empowered to license, promulgate regulations, and to establish and enforce standards governing the safety and conduct of private security business. The CEO and Director of Operations will be responsible for maintaining compliance with all rules and regulations established by SLED. The CEO has final say and authority for fiscal and management responsibility of Bravo1 Protection. All staff are expected to work according to the below Code of Ethics. It is my duty at all times, both on and off duty, to set an example for all personnel as well as the general public. I will be courteous and tactful, but firm at all times. I will not allow personal views to influence my duties, but will allow my personality to positively influence my interaction with coworkers and the public. My ability as an officer is measured by the quality of alertness and devotion to duty I display. I will treat everyone equally and fairly. I will be diligent in the performance of my duty. I will not consider an individual's race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, gender identity, disability, or religion in the performance of my duty, nor will I allow such characteristics to influence my conduct toward the individual. As an officer, I realize that I am of the most highly visible forms of Bravo1 Protection. Therefore, I will present an appearance that will reflect credit upon Bravo1 Protection. I will maintain current knowledge of the laws, regulations, ordinances, and constitutional provisions of the state of South Carolina and the United States of America. I will diligently observe and enforce these laws fairly and justly, making no exceptions. I realize that offenses are committed against the state and society, not me personally. As an officer, I must not take these violations personally. I will strive to not allow my feelings regarding offenses to influence my handling of offenders. It is my duty and obligation to use only the minimum amount of force necessary to apprehend those who commit criminal offenses and no more. It is the duty of the courts to inflict punishment, not ours. I will never yield to temptation to use my office for personal or material gain. The office I serve is now a part of me. Great authority and grave responsibility has been granted to me. I will exercise this authority and responsibility to the best of my ability. I realize that I have been placed in a position of responsibility and trust, and that I must conduct myself in a manner that is above reproach. I will always be truthful, forthcoming, and honest. At any time, Bravo1 may conduct various background checks, credit checks, driving records, or drug tests. Some tests may be at the expense of the employee. Any SLED certified officer must be prepared to disclose any citation or crime they have ever been charged with, except parking tickets. Some previous offenses may seem minor, but may bar you from receiving a SLED certification. We use an app called Humanity as our scheduling and time clock application. Download the app and find Humanity on your computer. The online app has several great features: staff lists, shift planning, schedule, time clock, punch in and out, training, and leave requests. The app is a super simple way to check everything. Here you can see your schedule and available shifts. Your shift will tell you where you need to be, the shift times, and other important notes. Use the app to clock in and out of your shift. You must be at your shift location to clock in. You may not clock in more than 5 minutes early. As you clock out, there is a spot to put a note if you need a time adjustment. In the event that an employee needs to take a short amount of time off, less than 14 consecutive days, he or she should submit a request to the scheduling coordinator through Humanity. All requests should be submitted at least 14 days beforehand. Time off greater than 14 consecutive days is considered a leave of absence, and such requests should be submitted to the Director of Operations. The Bravo1 scheduling coordinator reserves the right to decline requests off and may restrict certain days from being requested off. The scheduling coordinator may publish a blackout day further than 10 days out. A blackout day designation is used to indicate a holiday or special event requiring large amounts of personnel. The scheduling supervisor will send an email to all employees noting that a blackout day has been established. After the email is gone out, all employees have 72 hours to make any requests for time off or adjust availability. After that point, the scheduling coordinator will schedule the day accordingly. Any employees scheduled for a shift are bound to work that shift, regardless of how far out it has been scheduled. Employees may only ask someone to pick up their shift after all employee shifts have been assigned. Our pay period is on a bi-weekly basis, every other week. The pay period starts on Mondays at 0600 and closes on the following Monday at 0559. Timesheets should be turned in no later than 1200 hours on Monday to the scheduling coordinator. Paydays are on Thursdays. Paychecks are available after 1400 at Bravo1's office. If someone else is picking up your check, please email a written authorization to the Director of Human Resources. Employees may request direct deposit at no cost. If you receive a hard check, you must pick it up in person. Problems with paychecks should be emailed to Sarah at sarah@bravo1protection.com. Uniforms and other expenses are deducted from your paychecks. You will receive an email from our payroll provider, ADP. With their app, you can view pay stubs and download W-2s. Generally, on shifts longer than 4 hours, employees are allowed one 10-minute paid break to eat at your post. Job sites may not have any kind of canteen or vending machine, so you must bring your own meal or snack. Please refrain from bringing food that requires heating, food that is extremely messy or odorous. Breaks are not guaranteed, but provided if your job pace allows for it. All meals and snacks should be eaten at your post unless you have relief. Some events may allow you to be relieved for a longer break, in which instance you can clock out and eat at your service area. Staff are never allowed to leave a job site without instruction from a supervisor. Employees should always bring a water bottle or other beverage to stay hydrated. Bravo1 will schedule periodic mandatory training classes and voluntary developmental sessions. If the class is marked as mandatory, all employees will receive $9 an hour unpaid to attend the class. Per state law, voluntary developmental and supplemental sessions are unpaid considering they are voluntary and outside of normal working hours. It is the responsibility of each employee to ensure any certifications necessary to do their job are kept up to date and current records are on file with our office manager. While Bravo1 may pay an employee to go through certain training sessions, certification and processing fees are to be paid by the employee. Some courses may be put online for you to complete within a certain amount of time. We use an online testing system that allows you to work at your own pace. All tests should be completed honestly as closed book tests. All positions with Bravo1 have the below physical and non-physical demands. If you can no longer meet these requirements, you will need to talk to our Director of Human Resources. Overall strength demands include exerting 20 to 50 pounds occasionally, 10 to 25 pounds frequently, or up to 10 pounds constantly. Continuously requires vision, hearing, and talking. Frequently requires standing for 8 hours or more, reaching, fine dexterity, handling, walking, using foot controls, balancing, carrying, bending, and sitting. Occasionally requires crouching, kneeling, twisting, pushing, pulling, and lifting. Rarely requires climbing or crawling. Should be in good physical shape overall. The non-physical demands frequently requires time pressures, emergency situations, frequent change of tasks, irregular schedule or overtime, performing multiple tasks simultaneously, working closely with others as part of a team, and noisy or distracting environment. Occasionally requires tedious or exacting work. There are key functions of your job duties you will be expected to do at each site. Patrol assigned area, conduct foot and or vehicle patrol, visual and auditory awareness of persons and vehicles entering assigned area, prevent harm and damage to persons' property, ensure public safety, take affirmative action to suppress disorderly conduct, maintain awareness of all duties, responsibilities, and or protocols for assigned area as contractually agreed upon, proactively complete duties and assignments as stipulated in individual contractual agreements, act as a customer service representative, provide helpful, positive, proactive, and cheerful assistance to clients and their employees by providing information, maintaining a positive demeanor, and completing duties in a professional manner. Complete documentation. Appropriately document incidents occurring in assigned areas. Complete patrol activities log. Completion of human resources training documents. Maintain proficiencies and certifications. Attend required training for legal issues, arrest procedures, company policies, and weapons proficiency if certified. Other duties and responsibilities as assigned. SLED certified officers will find further information about their scope of services in their Officer Operations Manual. Security officers should always have a name badge identifying themselves as security personnel when on site. Security officers should not identify themselves as law enforcement, police, investigator, bureau, public safety, or other government entity. Security officers are authorized to take legal action similar to a sheriff's deputy on a contracted property during their shift time. Officers have no jurisdiction outside of that property. Bravo1 will not be responsible for any lawsuits that stem from an employee's actions taken off-site. All officers must have their SLED card on them at all times in case law enforcement is needed. Officers may not carry a firearm or other weapon unless certified for a specific weapon. Company weapons may not be carried or discharged while off duty. Officers may occasionally be scheduled as crowd management or event staff personnel and should refrain from taking any legal actions during those shifts. Crowd management personnel are not certified security officers and may not identify themselves as such. They are typically used for ticket taking, ushering, and bag checking while under the scope of a security officer. Crowd management personnel are not authorized to use words such as security, law enforcement, bureau, public safety, police, or etc. in any kind of identification through badges, uniforms, or verbal identification. You should identify yourself as event staff. Crowd management personnel should not engage in a situation outside of their scope of training. Personnel should not make any attempts to question, detain, or arrest any individual. Personnel should not touch an individual. No physical contact. Crowd management are not authorized to use any type of weapon, including firearms, chemical weapons, blunt objects, or tasers. Employees may receive 3 write-ups for minor infractions and immediate termination for major infractions. These are some examples of infractions that may be altered at any time by the CEO. Minor infractions include tardiness less than 15 minutes, failure to bring proper equipment, failure to have the proper uniform, failure to read and follow site instructions, and not submitting training paperwork or certifications before due date. Major infractions include drinking alcohol or using narcotics before or during a shift, stealing alcohol, equipment, or money from Bravo1 protection, a client, or another employee, not following all policies and protocols as stated in this handbook, operating protocol, or other directives, arguing publicly with a client, another employee, guest, or manager, tardiness that exceeds 15 minutes, failure to show up for a shift, bringing an unauthorized weapon to work or an event, using a company weapon outside of authorized work assignments or training, failure to report any incident according to protocol, sleeping on duty, insubordination, soliciting or engaging in sexual conduct or activity while on duty, abandoning a post without authorization, abuse of power granted through SLED certification, not staying current with all training and certifications. Any supervisor may impose an emergency suspension against a subordinate member when it appears that such an action is in the best interest of the company. Any civilian supervisor may impose an emergency suspension against a subordinate member within their chain of command. Appropriate circumstances include, but are not limited to, criminal acts, an impaired ability to perform assigned duties, an interference with administration of discipline, reporting to duty in an intoxicated condition, gross insubordination or disrespect to a superior, and/or acts adversely affecting the public interest. The supervisor will take custody of the surrendered items and notify the Director of Operations as soon as practical after the next business day, unless circumstances dictate a different course of action. The supervisor will also appear at the designated time. Any member placed on emergency suspension will continue with all pay and benefits pending review of the incident. Employees should use caution when going to businesses that are clients of Bravo1 Protection. If you choose to patronize a business that we provide services for, you should use your sense of judgment and behave in an appropriate manner. You should avoid fraternizing with employees that are on duty and maintain a sense of decorum. If you are frequently assigned to a particular job site, we do ask that you avoid going to that establishment, especially to consume alcohol. Your behavior around clients that recognize you is a direct reflection of our company's image. Employees should never drink alcohol or behave in any kind of a casual manner with friends, clients, or other employees while in uniform in a public place. Avoid socializing with employees of a job site outside of work. When you become friends with your site's employees, it can create a lack of authority that you may need later on. All employees must notify our Director of Operations of any arrests, convictions, or citations you receive within 24 hours. This includes all traffic tickets except parking tickets. We will report the incident to SLED within 72 hours. Officers will not make an arrest in their own private arguments or in those of their family. Neither will officers attempt to conduct investigations concerning matters affecting their families or friends. Officers or employees will not knowingly associate with persons engaged in criminal activity, persons of questionable character, or those groups which advocate hatred, persecution, or oppression of any person or group. Employees may be issued property such as uniforms, radios, chemical weapons, firearms, etc. All equipment used must be signed for and will be documented in your employee file. Short-term equipment issued must be returned by the date agreed upon when you receive the item. If the employee is terminated or voluntarily quits, they must return all equipment to the office within 24 hours. Failure to return equipment on time or in a clear, functional state will result in the amount of the item being deducted from your next paycheck. Employees are responsible for maintaining equipment in their long-term possession. Employees should not use clients' property without permission from the site supervisor. Any property belonging to a client must be returned to them at the end of your shift. If an item is lost, you should report it immediately to your command supervisor. You are required to immediately notify Bravo1 Protection Management as well as your immediate supervisor at the client site of any injuries that occur on the job or on customer property. Keeping the property's guests safe is your responsibility, and you should always be alert for situations that may pose a hazard to guests, employees, or other officers. You should always wear safety vests and use traffic directing flashlights when directing traffic. All firearms should be secured with a gun lock and kept in a safe when you are not carrying them for work purposes. Other weapons should be stored in a secure, safe place when not at work. You should be aware of all emergency exits and the location of any emergency equipment on your site, and be aware of the fire escape plan. In the event there is an emergency that requires an evacuation of the property, it is the officer's responsibility to coordinate any evacuations. Inspection of company facilities. Bravo1 reserves a right in its sole discretion and without notice to employees to inspect, monitor, or otherwise enter or search any office, desk, file, locker, closet, or any other enclosed or open area in the company facilities and company job sites. Personal property. Bravo1 Protection accepts no responsibility for personal property that may be brought to or stored at company facilities and/or at the client site, and such property may be inspected or monitored in the ordinary course of conducting business. Do not bring or keep any personal property or information in company facilities as well as the client locations that you expect to be kept private and confidential. All company offices, desks, paper files, electronic or computer files, closets, vehicles, and so forth are the property of Bravo1 Protection, and the company reserves the right to inspect any packages, parcels, handbags, briefcases, or any other possessions or articles carried to and from company facilities and company job sites. Work area. A neat and orderly work area makes for a more pleasant, productive, and safe place to work. You are expected to keep your surroundings clean and presentable in courtesy to fellow employees and customers who may personally visit job site or premises. Dress code. All employees are in charge of maintaining and cleaning their uniforms. If you show up to a site with an incorrect or dirty uniform, be prepared to go home or pay for a new uniform. All shirts and pants must be neatly pressed and free of wrinkles. All clothing must be in good repair. All shirts must be tucked inside of the employee's trousers or jeans with a belt. The tucked-in rule may be rescinded on an individual basis due to medical, physical, or personal reasons. Employees may not wear any jewelry, including earrings or necklaces. Wedding bands are allowed, but not large engagement rings. Employees may only wear shorts if approved. Inappropriate shirts include tank tops, midriff tops, shirts with potentially offensive words, terms, logos or pictures, cartoons or slogans, halter tops, and t-shirts unless worn under another blouse, shirt, jacket, or dress. Black closed-toed, sturdy shoes are required on all events. Sneakers may be allowed for athletic events. Makeup and perfume should be tasteful, but not overbearing. Remember, some coworkers may be allergic to strong perfumes. A Bravo1 Protection name tag and badge must be worn at all times. Facial hair should be kept neat and trimmed. Long hair should be secured in a tight ponytail, braid, or bun. Haircuts in general should be neat and unstartling. Unnatural dye colors should be avoided. The standard uniform consists of clean pressed khaki trousers with no cargo pockets, a blue Bravo1 polo shirt, black belt, and black shoes. Khaki slacks should be Dickie Original 874 work pants. You can purchase these at Walmart. Sneakers may be worn at some festivals or athletic events. Polo shirts are available to purchase from the Director of Human Resources. Some events may require you to wear a suit. With this, you will wear a white dress shirt with a blue, red, black, or gray tie. Ties should be solid in color without any designs. You'll wear black dress shoes. Ladies should wear suit pants and a jacket with flat dress shoes. Hats are not appropriate on event sites unless it's a Bravo1 Protection hat. Head covers that are required for religious purposes or to honor cultural tradition are allowed. In the event you are working outdoors and the temperature is under 50 degrees, you may wear a black, gray, or blue ski cap as long as it does not cover your face. Headgear that covers your face is not allowed. If the temperature is less than 65 degrees, you may wear a white or matching blue long-sleeve shirt under your polo. In extreme weather, you may wear a Bravo1 Protection jacket or a solid color rain jacket. We recommend jackets with a hood that are properly ventilated and waterproofed. You may also choose to wear tight-fitting gloves and a ski cap. Some job sites will require that you stay outside even in bad weather, so always be prepared. In the event you are authorized to use a company vehicle, you must first pass a driving test with our Director of Operations. At that time, he will review our vehicle policies with you. No one may drive a company vehicle who is not authorized to do so. Any vehicular accidents, thefts, or break-ins must be reported to the Director of Operations immediately. Bravo1 is not responsible for any fines, citations, claims, thefts, or damages to your personal vehicle in any circumstance. This includes while you are driving your vehicle to work, carpooling with other staff members, or while your vehicle is parked on a job site. No one under 21 may drive a company vehicle. Motor vehicle pursuits are strictly prohibited, whether it's a company or personal vehicle. If the animal is identified as a service animal, we cannot stop the owner and their animal from going where they intended. If they say this is a service animal, we must let them go, no questions asked. They do not have to show any identification. Penis.
What did you say?
Accepting tips. Tips are never to be accepted. By taking tips, it insinuates that some sort of agreement has occurred and you owe the patron a favor.
The next section we're going to cover is customer service skills. Here at Bravo1, we pride ourselves on exceptional customer service. Our customer service skills are what keep clients and their guests coming back. When you're at a job site, you aren't just working for Bravo1, but for the client. We are the first impression a guest will have of our client's business, so it's imperative we make them look good. These are Bravo1's golden rules of customer service. Number 1, greet each visitor with a smile and a "how are you today" or "welcome to." When a guest leaves, thank them for coming. Number 2, use sir and ma'am when addressing visitors and clients. Number 3, know your job site well enough to be able to point guests towards the restrooms, smoking areas, handicap entrances, bar, food areas, etc. The more you know about your facility, the better you will serve your client. Don't say, "I don't know," if you are asked a question you don't know the answer to. Instead, find out or direct the guest to someone who can help answer that question. Number 5, be consistent. Make sure you are treating every guest the same. Number 6, always make sure you look approachable. Hands should not be crossed or in your pockets. Your posture determines your approachability and authority, so it's really important. Number 7, employees should refrain from sitting down while on post. If your post allows it, you may sit in an appropriate chair for no more than 10 minutes every hour. Camp chairs, parking curbs, stairs, etc. are not considered appropriate seats. Number 8, communicate any incident with the client or on-site supervisor to ensure they know what's going on. Number 9, clean up after yourself. Don't leave trash or other personal belongings laying around. And lastly, number 10, if you are at an event that is ticketed and someone tries to enter, don't just tell them they can't get in, but direct them to a ticket counter to purchase a ticket. Here are some things that we don't do. We don't want to look or act like we are having a bad day. We don't want to discuss personal work issues or problems at work anytime on the job. Customers will hear it. We don't want to speak negatively to a client, guest, or other employee. We don't want to display negativity through bad posture, attitude, facial expressions, or body language. We don't want to ignore a request from a client or guest. We don't take things personally. There will be times doing this job that you will be cussed out, hit, or offended. Do not let these incidents affect you personally. We also don't make fun of clients or guests, and we don't get too comfortable at a site. Sometimes you may be asked to do traffic control at your site. Just some things you want to remember are to always wear safety vests. If you get hit by a vehicle without a safety vest on, we can't be held responsible. Remember to carry a traffic light when directing traffic. And it's important that you know we cannot direct traffic on a public roadway. So make sure that if you are directing traffic, it's on the private property on your site. Money handling. Some events or clients may require us to handle large amounts of cash. If you are not comfortable with this, please let us know. Some things to know: never steal money from the client or Bravo1. You are responsible if money turns up missing. Always use a cash system that allows you to keep your money separate. Whether it's a box or an apron for parking, large bills should be tucked out of sight from guests. Never wait until you're out of change to ask for change from your supervisor. We want to stay on top of this and keep things moving well. Try to keep bills turned the same direction. When counting at the end of the night, bundle your ones into $50, fives into $100, and 20s into $500. Do not paperclip money together that is not in a proper bundle. Always count back your change. When a customer hands you a bill, keep it out of the register until after you have given them their change. This way, if they argue they gave you a larger bill, you can show them that they didn't. Make sure you divide up sticky bills. You can also spray them with glass cleaner. All money should be turned in to the finance manager. Sometimes an incident occurs that passerbys or bystanders want to record or take pictures of, and if you are in the middle of this and you're getting filmed, you must let them, by law, film or take photos. And we want you to remember to always conduct yourself in a professional manner. Don't stop what you're doing. Call immediately after and report it to your supervisor so that we are aware and we can handle it appropriately. So some things to know before your shift. You will receive an email with your job details. If you do not receive an email, contact the supervisor because this email tells you what you're going to be doing, where you're going to be. If it's a new site, be sure to look at the protocols in Humanity. There's a file in there that shows each different site. So what you need to know for your shift, and this should also be in your email that you received before, who is your supervisor? What is your role? What time does the event start and end? Where can guests purchase tickets and enter the property? Where are the restrooms, bar areas, food, all the different important areas guests might ask you to locate for them? What are my property boundaries? Are there any other security companies or law enforcement on the site? In case of an incident, you need to know who the good guys are and who's going to be there to help you. If alcohol is being served, is there a wristband process? Are all guests over 21? What is the birthday date for over 21? And lastly, will guests need to be searched upon entering? So that concludes the standard operating protocols for Bravo1. There are some important additional training modules that we ask everyone to check out, that being alcohol safety, handcuffing, conflict resolution, bag checks, wristbanding, and IDing.